Okay then, so here we are, back in the coastal cave. So now that we have our lantern equipped, we're going to go ahead and put that on. Obviously, if those just joining us, this is over on the western side. And I kind of want to do this because this is going to show us how multiplayer works a little bit, because there will be an NPC we can summon here. One of the few, this game doesn't actually have very many. Some of the... Oh, wow, you went down there. That's going to be real bad. So these have a thing where they can scream, and that will aggro all of the ones that are close to it, and there's quite a few of them down there, so we just need to be careful. Although if they all happily line up in here for me, that'll be nice. As we just move on down. Move on down. Excuse me, can you not do that? There I am again, in in melee range. I need to not be doing that. That's real bad. Let's just be... Here we go, looks just going to start aggroing now. So just we need to be careful about that. Just clear on through. It's really not too difficult. This is going to be the boss fight right here. So if you're going to be using summons, you're obviously going to want to make sure you got your FP up, because we're going to be doing a summon in a minute, and we can have this guy as well. Having all of this together, so both the wolves and him, and we could have upgraded the wolves as well if we wanted, but we haven't done that. That's going to make this relatively easy for us, which is rather nice. Let's go on in. Good old Knight is fun. It kind of reminds me of Astrava. Nah, it's a bit of a stretch. It's not like Astrava. So we're going to come on in. We're going to summon the wolves. The main boss in here is actually asleep right now, so we can have a sneak around if we want. But it really does just kind of aggro on you anyway, so there's no real benefit to that. Everything's all aggro now, look, anyway, so we're just going to get out of the way. Let's... Oh, and they're both aggro together. Sometimes, if you stay this end, you can get away with just aggroing one at a time. We're just going to try and pick off the little ones for now. The dogs, realistically speaking, are enough to take one of these on anyway. So realistically, the main thing we want to make sure is that we just don't get mobbed, because this is mob on mob warfare here. As you can see, there are a lot of these kind of smaller ones. Those are the ones that we really need to be getting rid of, because those are the ones that A, distract our own AI, and are the ones that are basically causing the trouble in here. We'll go ahead and we'll grab this one. This one. There's just too many of them, look. Otherwise. Once that's done, we're going to want to try and pick the one that's got the least health. We should definitely aim to thin numbers in here. That is the key. Oh, we could have gone in for a thingy there. A crit. There we are. Again, we needed to do very little for this one. So far, the only troublesome enemies have been the one in Fort Height and the one Bernahl Watchdog. But there we are. That's these done. So that's going to give us the tailoring tools. Those are for the guy that was at the entrance to the tunnel. But before you leave, and you can see right here, right, so you can go ahead and interact with that, and that's going to take you straight back to the entrance. It's kind of a big cave here, and we want to go down here for our first look at some dragon abilities. This one is kind of a bit like beginnery, like it doesn't really get extra ones through the game. There are two dragon churches, and the second one that we'll see later on in the game gets quite a bit more in the way of abilities and stuff, but they appear there over the course of the game rather than all being there at the beginning. So let's deal with you. Excuse me. I let them get a bit too close, really, didn't I? Luckily, the damage these early enemies do just really isn't as high as I thought it was. Here we are. So that takes us to the island. So if you look on the map, we're kind of on this little extra island. Look, and there's the church right there. There's an upgrade stone around here as well, I think. So we'll grab that whilst we're here. We've got some early flour. Not that I'm ever going to use any. Let's go get some of these. So thin bones, that's what we're going to make arrows out of. So just good to get a few every now and then. There's a pretty good farming spot that's kind of quite beginner friendly. I already have a video for that on the channel, so feel free to search that up if you're looking for that. Going in here, we can see the dragon communion thing. And this wants you to use Dragon Hearts to get yourself some abilities. Not really for me, but as you get Dragon Hearts, you now know where to bring them. Kind of a cool mechanic. I hope we get different ones of that, kind of, as everything starts fleshing out with DLC. Around the back end there, we should get one of the, I think it's called scarabs, kind of like giant dung beetle things. And this one should have an upgrade stone. Where are you? Kind of hear it ring it. There it is. So just going to get down here for you. I can't remember if this one blows up, so just be careful. No, some of them do though. So that's a somber stone. So you have two types of stone. You have somber and normal smithing stones. The somber one will upgrade like special weapons. So those are like boss weapons or weapons that have, or usually have ashes of war that we can't change or swap. So something like the Moon Veil, which you guys, if you're following this kind of early on, may not have heard of yet, but we'll be picking it up later. But that's kind of one of the go-to mage weapons. I'm not going to be having the stats for it, so it's kind of banned for me. You know, you can use that to upgrade it one level, which is kind of useful. Next up then, we're going to go and we're going to grab an extra Spirit Ash and an extra Talisman. So that the Ash is going to be like here, and the Talisman is like here. I'm going to pretty much clear everything, but we'll leave this for a while. This is what's called a Crucible Light, and that is particularly troublesome. Let's go with that. So we're going to leave that one for a while, and then as far as I'm aware, there's no like character help. There's another tough one here. This one's kind of tough, but once we've gone back and spoken to Wolf Boy, he's actually going to give us a hand with that one. So that's basically going to be a free bunch of souls for me. I mean runes. So we're going to go back to Stormhill Shack. And once we're mounted up, we're basically just going to face the cliff and turn left, as you can see. I'm not going to be too bothered about the wolves again. I know some people that have followed some of my previous guys that like to kill every enemy, they like to get the extra runes. Kind of makes you end up a few levels ahead of me. That's obviously entirely a thing. I'm not of the group of people that is like, hey, you need to stick to the level that I'm going to be. The game has always had me come out at about level 170, so I'd probably maybe design your character around level 200. But realistically speaking, once you've gotten to like level 150, the levels don't make as much of a difference as you'd think. In terms of like defenses and effects and stuff, you really don't get very much. I'm just going to nip it and grab this piece of loot. I think it's just a smithing stone, but useful for us nonetheless. So yeah, all you're really doing is unlocking extra abilities, and you can only use so many at once anyway, so it really doesn't, in my opinion, make too big of a difference. Especially as like an individual stat has what they call diminishing returns, so like you'll notice that kind of the earlier parts of the health, they'll give you more. The later parts, wow, I didn't realise how surrounded by skeletons that was. That means we're not going to fast travel out, that's a bit of a pain. We could quit out and do it, but we're just going to leave. Now we're going to come back over where we came. Then we're going to go for the Talisman, which should be kinda south? South? No, it's east. East of us. I had the marker there, I wasn't even paying attention to my own marker. How foolish am I? Right, so yeah, we're going to head straight over this way. We're going to have a tower, a few enemies in it. We are going to probably want to fight them a little bit. I've really got to get my red and blue bars up there. Look how small they are. They're growing, they're growing. So yeah, this is what you want to avoid. I wouldn't interact with this just yet. We might interact with the other one soon though. We've already done Fort Heights, so we've pretty much done most of the stuff in that area anyway. So I guess we might as well finish it off. We did send Kenneth out there, we should probably go and do that. So be careful of these big guys. They do a lot of damage. They're probably going to really wreck me if they get close, so I need to really make sure that doesn't happen. Still more in here, so we need to be careful. Is it just one? No, it's two. So I think that's everything. Yep, this is going to be the arrows sting or reach. Yeah, arrows reach. So that makes it so that your bow will fire further. This is particularly useful for my short bow because now I have the ability to give it reasonable range if I need to kind of cheese or shoot something with it, which is obviously handy. One of the last things that we need is poison arrows, and then we can actually go ahead and cheese this Knight's Cavalry over here, which is really good. So the Knight's Cavalry over there drops an ability called the Bloodhound Step, and it basically allows us to use FP to dodge, but in a way that we are even less vulnerable to damage, which is just really good. Just noticed there's loot down there. I've never actually been on there to loot it. I want to know what it is. If I die, I apologise. It's my own fault, but I want to grab this. It's just a golden rune too. Oh my god, that was so not worth it. Am I accurate on? I am as well. That's a pain in the ass. Okay, well, I think this is mostly the way I want to go anyway, and we've literally got a new grave site here that we want to loot. So that's what we're going to do. And grab all this. Whoa! Loot, loot, loot. All of the loot. There we are. More runage for you guys. Excuse me. It's just a cover up. Careful of the sheep. For some reason the sheep really like to bother you. I didn't get it. Did get it. Like, you're such a brave sheep, but stop. It's a ram, isn't it? So yes, now we can bring up the map. Good, so we are here. Realistically speaking, the next thing we want to do is get to the Warmaster Shack, which is here. There is an invasion we need to deal with, so we're going to get invaded by another character. Kind of another demonstration as to how some of the multiplayer can work. I don't want to drop off that far, do we? That should be fine. So this is Bernahl. He will sell you new Ashes of War. And eventually is actually going to sell us the Gambit, Assassin's Gambit, which is a really strong Ash of War as well. Kind of basically turns us invisible. Of particular note, no skill is very good for shields if you want to be able to use the Ash of War on your sword. Ordinarily, if you have a shield on and a weapon, then the game prioritizes the shield Ash of War. So if you want to be able to use your weapon Ash of War and a shield, you'll want this. Quick step though, that's like baby's first. Baby's first Bloodhound Step. Maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll try that out. There's nothing else here that's even of note for us, so we'll go ahead and we'll leave the rest of it. Now that we've met him, that's all good. Let's just see if we can get a level out of this. I don't know if I have enough or not for a level. Oh, we do. Hey, that's pleasant. Let's go with mind. We'll try and keep mind and intelligence fairly level for now. Each point should basically be an extra cast. What we're on. FP 110. Very nice. So now go ahead, head north. North. We're going to ignore the wolves. We're going to get invaded. That's what should happen as we go up here. If I remember correctly. You want to do this before you start taking on what are called world bosses. So you've heard me talking about Knight's Cavalry. There are other things called Deathbirds. There are like the Tree Sentinel guy, which is the big golden knight that we saw earlier. You want to deal with invasions before you deal with anything like that. Because as far as I'm aware, if you don't, then you can prevent the invasions from coming. Unless that's been fixed in a patch. Maybe will have been. And as you can see, these guys are much better at avoiding spells, so we need to be careful about that. Which is kind of why we need to get some knight spells. Eventually. And that's because the developers gave them a hit scan ability, which is kind of a bit annoying. So when your spell goes off, they kind of have an auto dodge, so they're not actually doing that naturally. It's one of my least favourite additions. Luckily he has like no poise. You're also Recusant, that's interesting. I need some FP real bad. They also can have heals, so let's just be careful about that. I don't want you to heal at all. Oh my gosh. You could have finished me there. Oh man. That's why I need to stay out of melee. No. Get it. Good done, man. Hammer Talisman. This is, so the small red refugee, that's for duels, I believe. I haven't used it very much. Really haven't done very much PvP in this game. So from here we want to go along this way. There should be a where are we? Yeah, talisman over this way. And is that a weapon over there? I don't think it is. That's inside the cave. Yeah, that's inside the cave. Okay, yeah. So it should just be talisman over that way. If you're feeling like particularly damaged, take a rest, because there are going to be a lot of the Demi-Human enemies over this way. And there is a big giant that we need to be careful of. I think it's an injured one though, so we should be okay with defeating it. Oh, look at all that. Yeah, look at all them butterflies. We want some of that. Cool. It's a pretty good little spot there. Let's just find a nice bit where we can drop off. So there's all the Demi-Humans. We're going to avoid those. We're going to come over to the left side. This is where the giant is. We'll probably fight it, to be honest, because it's probably a good idea. It's probably not a good idea, actually, if you think about it, but might as well. It's this one here. It's on the ground. What you usually want to do, you want to look for the weak points on their feet. Usually, as you can see, denoted by big orange glowiness. It's not a very mage-like way of combating them. But realistically speaking, it's the best way to defeat them is by attacking the ankles for now, until we get some better spells for this. There we go, that's what we want to see. Now we want to go to this nice glowy, hearty core. Stick our rapier in there, get the crit. Doesn't even drop anything good, look. It's mostly just a trap. Just saves us having to do it from range with this. So Lance Talisman, that's going to increase our damage whilst we are mounted. I don't know if this is the damage of everything. I haven't tried it with spells before. Just enhances attacks. Maybe I'll test that later. In any case, that gives us that talisman, which is real good. So that means we've now done all of this upper area, and we can come back to the Warmaster Shack and we begin making our way kind of more east here. Kind of trying to get ourselves into a good position so that we can rush out and get some good stuff in the next episode. So that is the plan. We should be able to get another level now though, which is good. Level up. Let's go with more intelligence for now. Let's really start trying to double down on that. We're going to move away to the east. I'm going to follow this road. We should probably clear this actually, because there's a shield here. So there's loot here that we need to get, realistically speaking. So we'll do that on the way over. It's not going to be useful for this character, but anybody that's not a mage, you know, you never know who's following. This is where you can pick up your first 100% resistance shield. So not all shields are created equal in this game. Some have... I need to not be anywhere near you right now. I don't know, we could summon here. I didn't realize we could summon there. I swear they keep on adding new places we can summon. I'm telling you now. Go on then. It's going to make this area way better. So yeah, there's no point in putting points into mine now until we get another sacred tier, because we're going over... We are over the recovery amount. So that's good to know. Okay, we're going to need to be on group mode. Whoa. So this one is obviously fairly similar to the last one, apart from it doesn't have bleed, so... Come on, wolves, 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 do your job! There we go. That's better. Oh, it's going to be bad now. Cornered. Oh, I don't know how I survived that. That's funny. Right. Now you're cornered. Haha. That works for me. Come on, wolves. Get him. Yes. Oh, I've got some nice big greaves as well. Can't wear them, but still. It's nice. It's you down. Grab this. Ooh. And then the shield is in that chest right there. I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna finish off with this. Just because it wasn't worth the flask. There we are. Beast, Crest, Heater Shield. Again, this character is using shields. It's not for me. There we are. We passed through. Let's just bring this dog over. We don't want to lose my summons. You can often tell as well when you defeat a group of enemies. Either the summons will disappear or you'll get the flasks back. I think that's everything for now. Continue east. We're going to get to the next grace, which is going to be a good point for me to break the episode, because we're at 20 minutes at that point, and that's real nice. We'll talk to Alexander in the next episode. This Onion Boy doesn't really drop anything nice, but some people like farming it for Sanctuary Stones. I don't. Sanctuary Stones are way easier farmed in another place, but something we can get on this bridge just before I close on out is this. I think that puts us on 5. When we reach 6, we can actually get 2 upgrades on the rapier. Unfortunately, that's just not going to do very much for us, so that's why I'm not really prioritising it right now. So, that's going to close out this episode. I hope you guys are still enjoying the series, and I'll see you all in the next one.